This is the Zune, Microsoft's answer to the iPod. It didn't do very well at all, but they did really try. There was several versions, and this was the version that was supposed to go up against the iPod mini. So I picked this up off eBay. The listing said no power, was in their truck for years, listening to tunes, had their entire library on it, and then one day it just went dead and wouldn't come back. You know what? It seems pretty dead. But it's been sitting long enough, it probably does need to be charged. So let's plug it in and see if it will come back to life. And there we go. Well, look at that. It came back to life. All it needed was a little bit of charging. But there's still a problem. I can't use this because it says it needs software, so it is completely empty. I was hoping I was going to be able to listen to that person's songs that they listened to in their truck for years. So disappointed right now. But how are we going to get this to work? The Zune software has been discontinued for a long time. It doesn't even run on Windows 10 or Windows 11. Could just fire up a machine that runs Windows 7 and install the software and away we go. But there's also another problem. The Zune servers are gone, which means getting the firmware for this Zune is going to be a problem. But there are some really smart people out there that have solved this problem for us. Always the tech community comes to revive machines and devices that manufacturers say, nah, you don't own this really. You can't run this because we don't want to put the servers up. We don't want to give you the files to download. We don't want to update the software and make it run under current operating systems. We don't want to design the product in the first place to not really need all that stuff. But nope, we're just going to make it completely garbage and you're going to be forced to buy something new. Because what does this device do? It plays music. Nothing special there. So let's see if we can get this machine working again, bring this Zune back from the dead, and keep it out of e-waste. So since Microsoft has essentially killed the ZoneUpdate.com people have stepped in and set up a server so that you can still use your Zune in 2024. So these people are now hosting the updates for us and allowing us to fix our firmware, but you still have to jump through a few hoops to do so. So the first thing you have to do is you have to go to zoneupdate.com and go to their resources page. And you need to download the host file, the software, and depending on whether or not you're on Windows 11 or Windows 10, you need to download the Windows 11 fix. So I downloaded all three files and extracted them to a folder called Zune on my desktop. Because I'm running Windows 11, I need to follow these extended instructions for how to install the software. Apparently, if you're running Windows 10 or lower, you can just install the software and away you go. But the problem is Windows 11 has a problem with the driver being that it's older. So we are going to install the software. So we go to our Zune software folder and run the Zune package. Okay, so now it's installed. We're just going to go close. And we're going to go and download this program here. So I downloaded the zip file, extracted it to my Zune folder. So we're going to go in here and we're going to run execti. And we're going to type in, just follow what it says here, type in cmd. So it's going to run a command prompt. And we press OK. So now that has been, a command prompt is up under the trusted installer rights. So then we have to copy and paste the following commands. So this should be pretty simple. So here's the first copy. And then we come into our command window, right mouse click, it'll paste the whole thing in and press enter. Copied the one file. And now we do this one. And copy. Right mouse click to paste and enter. And now it's in. So that's completed that. So it's not that hard. Wasn't that hard to do. So now we can just close all this stuff
Here is the hardest part. Because Microsoft has shut down their servers, when the software runs and tries to go find the updates for your Zune with no firmware, it will return back nothing because the server's no longer there. So Windows has a function called the hosts file. And what that does is it essentially will take whatever website that you tell it and redirect it somewhere else. It's a feature that's been in Windows for a long time, but it's not really used for a whole lot. So we'll open up their text file that they set up, and it tells you the exact path to go to. Copy that. And then if you go press the Windows key on your keyboard and R, it'll bring up the run dialog. And if you simply paste that in, it will open up that path for you. And there is our host file. We cannot edit the file directly in this location because it is a protected Windows system folder unless you run your notepad as an administrator in order to edit it. So the easy way to do this is to just grab the file and copy it to your desktop and right mouse click and edit in Notepad. Or if you have a program called Notepad++, that'll work too. It's a great program. You should try it. Now that we have the host file open, all we're supposed to do is take this line here and copy it and paste it into the host file. Now, one thing I want you to do though is you need to go back to the Zune Updates site, go back to their main page, and they will tell you their current IP for the routing. And it happens to be the same as what's in the file at the time. But if you say you do this and then later on down the line it no longer works anymore, come back to the Zune update page and they will tell you what the current IP address is for that to put in for that address. So then all you have to do is open your host file again, change the number, or just copy and paste what they have there and put it into your file, and that will update it. So now that we have this updated, so we just save it, and now we can close all this stuff, minimize that, and we're going to take the host file that we edited on our desktop, and we're going to copy it back into the system folder. And it's going to say where you want to replace it, yes. Are you sure you want to do this? Because you need administrator permissions. So you just click continue. And then the file is now copied over. To make sure that the host file is actually functioning on your system, you can press on your keyboard, press the Windows button and R to bring up the run dialog, and type in CMD and hit enter. And that's going to bring up another command prompt. And all we have to do to check is type in ping and then type in resources.zune.net and then hit enter. And it will check to see what that server is, and it'll also tell you what IP address it's returning. So you can see that resources.zune.net is going to 107.152.96.161, and that is the address that we put in. So our host file is working. So now what we can do is we can connect our Zune. We can start our Zune software. We have the software up and running. So now we're going to connect the Zune and hope for the best. Okay, it says it requires an update, which is good. Right, it sure does reboot a bunch of times though. Holy smokes. And the Zune is now updated and redone. So we get to name our device. We're going to call it the Tech Guy Life Zune. Well, we're going to skip for now. And we're just going to do manual syncing on all items for now. All right, so our Zune is now back to being functional. I'm not sure how it did this, other than the fact that maybe it stores the files in a different place, but it looks like it came back after putting in the firmware with all of the music that the previous owner had on it. So it's practically full. of a whole bunch of stuff. Nothing I can play because I don't want to get a copyright strike. But yeah, it's all here. So let's disconnect and see if this music is actually on the player. Yeah. So I grabbed some headphones and yes, this is totally working. Well, there we go. We fixed a Zune in order to make it usable in 2024. And thanks to the people at the ZuneUpdate.com, we were able to do so. Connects, battery seems to be okay, like it works when I disconnect it. So not sure. Most likely what happened is the person had a problem and it said you needed to reload the firmware, and then you just can't because Microsoft won't let you anymore. Well, we did it. We saved another device from being e-waste. I've always wanted a Zune. They've kind of been always a fascinating option to the iPod that just never went anywhere. So far playing with it, I'm kind of impressed. It's okay, but it's definitely not an iPod. Definitely doesn't have the clean, simple interface that the iPod has. Glad to have it. Hopefully I can add one of the other ones to the collection. Get like one of the 30 gig ones in the brown color. That's fun. But anyway, please like and subscribe. Really helps the channel. Helps us get us out there to other people. And that's it for this video. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.